Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in this globe of ours that you've had an interesting, exciting and hopefully a peaceful week in the last 7 days. Here in Australia, we've been up to our ears in the end of the winter sports grand finals. We've got another one coming up on the weekend, so everybody's sort of getting behind their favourite team. For me, it's my local team where I was born in the Rugby League grand final this weekend, and my prediction is they're going to win, so I'll say go Penrith Panthers. But for the rest of the people around the world that have no idea what I'm talking about, it's called Rugby League, and a bunch of men get out in a paddock and run around and make a fool of themselves chasing a ball, and we all love it. So this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the Happy Home. Now, it's the Four of Wands. It's a card that says a happy home, possible country setting. Every time I see this card come up in a reading, I automatically want to exhale, and I feel this sense of relief. It's like finally we can just sort of relax a little bit. We can exhale. We can sort of just enjoy some quality time with our family and our friends. And I think for many of us around the world, since we've all been struck with COVID in some form or another, we've been craving some of this, just the opportunity to sort of exhale and say, oh, you know, everybody's together. We can finally have a gathering at home. We can have a family celebration, or we can just be. And I'm hoping that that's what's happening in your neck of the woods. I mean, there's different parts of the world that are still, you know, where COVID's still raging, and we still have it raging here in parts of Australia. So it's not as if it's ever far from our mind. But if we can just take that little bit of a split second or a day or two to sort of say, let's just enjoy what we've got and the people that are still with us and our loved ones, and just celebrate being alive, I think, and being happy and being able to just breathe and have some quality time at home with the people that we love, or in a park or somewhere special. It's also the card that reminds me that it's like the end of the long winter where the spring's coming and everything starts to get fresh and exciting and new again. We're in spring here in the Southern Hemisphere, so it's sort of very apt for us. So it's a nice positive sort of card. So let's move on to the astrology section of the show. Now, this week I'm pleased to say the sun's moved out of Virgo, so we can say bye-bye to Virgo for another 12 months, at least for the sun transiting it anyway. And it's now moved into the sign of Libra. Now, a lot of people sort of think that Libra is quite a weak sign. Libra is not a weak sign by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, the Librian energy is about trying to find balance. It's also about liking the finer things in life, and it can be soft and gentle and enjoy the pretty things, the sparkly things. But the more important role of Libra is weighing everything up, is really analysing or arbitration, or really getting to the bottom of an issue. Where we see Libra in a chart is where we need to do our biggest digging of looking for the truth or seeking the truth and looking at it from every possible angle. So it's interesting when the sun goes into Libra for its once-a-year transit that we all start to question our lives in some form or another. Some of us, it may be, I'm just questioning, am I bored? Am I sick of my job? Is there something more I could be doing? For other people, the focus is on relationships or children or education. For each and every person, it's a very different way that we look at the sun in Libra. Most of us start thinking, oh my gosh, it's only 3 months till Christmas, and we hit the panic button and think, I haven't thought about it or done anything yet, and oh, it's like it's tomorrow. And that's sort of part of what the Librian energy is about as well. But I think for most of us, it's a little bit of a time where we can catch our breath and sort of really try and sort of look at what we've done so far for this year. Have we achieved the goals that we set out to do? Is there anything that we need to do now to make a final push towards the end of the year? And for some people, it can be a time of great revelation, or finally getting to the bottom of some issues that have really been troubling you or perplexing you all year, that, or even for just a short time, that you finally get the truth in the situation. You finally get that missing piece to the jigsaw puzzle, and it's all suddenly starts to make sense. So don't ever underestimate if you meet a Libra and they seem a little bit airy-fairy or not really paying attention to what you're saying. They are actually very, very attentive. It's just their little game. or their facade or their mask that they put on that leads you into this false sense of security that they may not be too bright or maybe not paying attention enough. And that's when they're gathering their most information. Interestingly enough, there's many high court judges and people in the legal system come under the sign of Libra more than any other sign. So that's just a little bit of history there about Libra. So Libra this week, and the sun this week in Libra is actually holding hands, or conjunct as known in astrology circles, with Mars, the planet of action. Some people like to call Mars the planet of war. Hopefully we'll never see another one of those in our lifetime. I like to see it as the planet of action, the planet that makes you get up out of bed of a morning and have some motivation and says, come on, let's go. We've got things to do. We've got places to go to. We've got action to take. And it can be a time where with the sun in Libra, we all of a sudden start to feel as if our energy levels are starting to rise again. Now, I know for our Northern Hemisphere family that you're going into your cooler months of the year, into your autumn and fall, and you might be sort of looking to sort of wind down a little bit or partake in activities that may be not quite as strenuous or as outdoorsy as they were. But you might also find that you've got an abundance of energy that needs to be used up too. And in some cases, people use this energy to sort of get their stores in ready for the long, cold winter months where, you know, you've got to get the supplies into the larder and things like that, or get enough firewood ready for the cold months that are ahead, and, you know, just preparing the home for snow deluge and things like that. So it's a time of great action. Here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're sort of all sort of waking up from our long, cold winter, and we're sort of starting to look at, you know, longer days, beautiful sunshine, and how many more trips can we go to the outdoors? You know, can we go to the park? Can we go to the beach? Can we go to a swimming hole? You know, we're sort of looking for that sort of thing. So whatever part of the world that you're in, there will be some bursts of some really high energy happening over the next few weeks, where sometimes you just sort of feel as if you really should just sort of rein yourself in a little bit. And sometimes we have to rein ourselves in to not burn ourselves out. It's great to have this sudden burst of energy and go like a speeding train, but then we come to a sudden stop where we've burnt ourselves out, and then it takes us a few days or a week to recover. So we've really lost that momentum. So my suggestion would be pace yourself. Even though you've got this boundless energy, let's just sort of monitor it and keep it under control a little bit, that we have it to sustain us over the longer period of time. Now, I quite often talk about the Arabian parts or other parts of a chart that aren't connected to zodiac signs or planets or luminaries. And one of them is Chiron, the planet of the wounded healer. Now, even though Chiron has been weaved into astrology for probably close on 100 years now, there still isn't enough research or enough knowledge that's been documented and shared amongst astrologers to say everything about this is fact. And a lot of it is we're still sort of gathering our own resources or understanding how Chiron works in a chart. To me, Chiron is where we've come in with a karmic affliction, if you want to put it that way, something that's not necessarily a weak area of our chart, but it's an area that we need to heal. It's something that really bugs us that we might have brought in from a past life that we need to heal. Now, when we talk in general terms, as I'm going to do now, with where Chiron is placed in the astrological chart if a child was born today, this still has bearing on each and every one of us that are breathing at the moment. It's asking us to look at, on a very casual sort of way, how is this affecting our lives? Now, at the moment, Chiron is sitting in Aries, which is directly opposite the Libra stuff that I just spoke about. So we've got Chiron sitting at opposite ends of the paddock to the Sun and Mars. Now, what is Chiron actually asking us to do? Well, Chiron's in a little bit of a tug-of-war situation here. Chiron's saying, look, I want to heal. I want to get, I want to get these emotional scars healed. But to do that, I need to get the Sun and Mars to cooperate. So the Sun is our ego, our drive, where we get the motivation to get out of bed, where we're, it's the thing that drives us, that makes us the person that we are. So it's the heart and soul of us. So Chiron is asking us to delve deeply into our heart and our soul and ask ourselves, what is it that we really want? What is it that we're trying to achieve in this drive towards the end of the year? Is there something there that needs to be healed? Is there something that's come to the surface recently that maybe even goes way back to our childhood that we wonder why that's coming up now? Well, it's a time now for it to be healed. So look at anything that comes into your mind or into your life in the next 7 days that might need attention in that way, that might need to be healed or just looked at and let go of, and sort of say, well, that's finally good. I can put all those pieces in that puzzle and put it to rest. So there may be some conflicting emotions that you might deal with over the next 7 days. They're not going to be major, but they're in, they're out. Some, for some people, there may be one or two that might be more serious or stay with you a little bit longer. But for most of us, it's only a fleeting visit. It's like we glance on it, we look at it, we own it, and we let it go. At the same time, Chiron is actually in opposition or in conflict, if you want to look at it that way, the toing and froing of, push-pull situation with Mars, the planet of action, also in Libra. So how I'm going to interpret this is I'm going to lump the Sun and Mars together. For some people, it will be about looking at your heart and soul. For other people, it may be about looking at, have you been actually physically prepared and participating in your life the way you should? Or have you only just done it in your mind or sitting on the couch? Have you actually got up off the couch and started to activate things? And this is where Chiron could be sort of in that bit of a tug of war with you, asking you to say, well, okay, it's great to have great ideas while you're sitting on the couch or in your mind, but we do actually have to get up and we have to instigate and we have to move these things along to really start to bring them to reality. Then I think we need to look inside ourselves and ask ourselves, is this really going to make my heart sing? Is this what I really want to do? So it may be almost like a triangle of energy, pushing and pulling and jockeying for position to know which needs to be the leader. Now, there doesn't necessarily need to be one leader. It can be a combination of all those energies all working together, that things we've got coming up from the past, maybe the energy that's needed or the drive that's needed is to just work through them and put them to rest. And sometimes it's other things that we need to get up and start new projects. So it'll be very personal, very different for each and every one of you. The intensity of this energy is the next 7 days. So make sure you don't waste it. We also have the planet of communication. Mercury has been retrograde now for about 3 weeks. Everybody will be doing the happy dance now to know that Mercury is actually sitting in a stationary position. What that means is he's getting ready to go forward again. So all the communication that's been missed, or your computers and devices and things have been playing up, or, you go to do something in a program and all of a sudden it shuts itself down and you've got to start all over again, or your YouTube's playing up, or whatever it might be, is all going to start to settle down again. And even the children and your partner might put their listening ears back on. Won't that be amazing? That people actually hear you and understand what you're talking about for a change. So we have Mercury retrogrades about 3 times a year, and it's always a time of where communication is really misunderstood. And I think, it always mystifies me why politicians around the world make their biggest announcements or go on overseas trips or go to conferences or have world gatherings always under a Mercury retrograde. It's like, don't any of you have an astrologer that you consult and sort of understand when's the most fortuitous time to bring about talks, if you're going to talk about foreign policy or climate change or even COVID-19. You wouldn't do it during a Mercury retrograde, but anyway, they might learn one day. So, we can't help that politicians have no interest in astrology, and that's, to me, a fault of theirs. I mean, there was a famous president that really lived and made a number of his decisions by astrology. He had an astrologer as part of the staff. And, that goes back to way back in history, where kings and people that presided over big parcels of land did not ever make a decision without consulting an astrologer at when to go to war, when to plant a crop, when was the time to invade the neighbouring county or whatever. They believed in astrology, and they believed in the divine timing and the guidance that only the stars could bring. So maybe we need to sort of bring that back in round now around with some of the politicians around the world, if maybe they took a little bit more notice of some reputable astrologers, maybe the world would be in better shape. Anyway, that's for another day. We're going to have a chat now with Rachel in Canberra in the ACT here in Australia. How are you, Rachel? How are you handling lockdown, sweetheart?
Oh, I'm not a fan of it. How are you?
I'm good, sweetie. I'm good. You know, on the Gold Coast, and we're only probably days away of going into our next lockdown. So I do sympathise with you. How can I help you today, sweetie?
I'm just wondering if you'll be able to pick up on anyone around me.
Okay. The first thing that I'm being shown, Rachel, is, look, there is a lot of energy around you from the other side, but it's like there's nobody that's really sort of pushing their way forward to say, look at me, I've got, you know, I'm the one here that's the most important. So I'm taking from that everybody that you feel that you would have liked to connect with is there anyway. They're there. They're not unhappy with the decisions and the choices that you've made. They're keeping a watchful eye over things. And I feel that they feel that it's not so much that you don't need any extra guidance. They're just proud of the steps that you've been able to take, you know, considering all these lockdowns and changes we've had to you know, just normal life. But before this recent lockdown, was there a big decision that you had just made or were just about to make that would have been what I would consider sort of fairly life-changing? Now, that would have been either a move of residence, a job change, or maybe thinking about going back to some studies, something that was going to have a big impact on you. Was there something that you were about to push into motion and then it got stopped in its tracks?
Well, it just so happens that we moved to the other side of Canberra, and my daughter just started school, and then lockdown began.
Right, okay, so you haven't even had a chance.
We did have a big move. Pardon?
Yeah, so you haven't had a chance to explore what that means yet for you and the family, have you?
No.
No, but what they were sharing with me from the other side was exactly that whatever that was that, you know, got put on hold, it was the right decision. It is the right decision, and it is going to enable, when things open up again, to be able to open up your life again in a way that maybe you didn't think was possible. So who's the one with the new job coming up? Is it you or your husband?
We've just been like applying for jobs, looking for jobs.
Right, well, there's new jobs coming. There's new jobs coming, and I don't think it's very far away because I keep seeing the two of you, you know, like dancing around the kitchen in excitement that, wow, we've landed it, you know, we've got what we need and it's good.
Wow. Yeah, because we've had like a pretty tough year this year.
Yeah, no, but really excited, you know, like you're really, really excited, you know, when you're really celebrating, wow, I just don't believe our luck. Type of excitement.
Oh, wow. Well, that'd be good if that does happen.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't see it as being very far away. So, you know, the next month, the next 6 weeks, something like that, it's very close. I could almost touch it. And it's like everybody on the other side is sitting there waiting with bated breath for this to happen, for them to sort of throw their hands in the air and join in the party. Do you know what I mean? Like it's something that they've been working on for quite some time to make this a reality for you guys. But the first part of it was that move that, you know, I spoke to you about, and you've done that. So, and then that sort of with lockdowns and everything else, that sort of then put that on ice, this next part, but it's just about to happen. So it's good. Your daughter's incredibly
bright. Can you see if like next year's going to be better than this year?
Oh, yeah, next year's going to be totally different year to this year, regardless of whether, you know, COVID gets them under control or not. Let's sidestep that. But for you guys personally, finances are certainly much easier next year. The two of you seem to be able to put some long-range plans down again and be able to stick to them, and that's really important. Is your daughter, is she theatrical or musical or something? Because I just see her jumping around the place, but to me, it's something that needs to be harnessed. Like she has a real talent there for drama or, you know, to go into the media or something.
She does.
You know, she's too yet, but
that's what she wants to do.
Yeah, I can see it.
She loves acting. She loves all that stuff.
Yeah, I can see it. And
Wow.
I really feel it should be encouraged because I think she's a natural.
Really?
Hmm. Even though she's
Wow.
little at the moment, she is a real natural. When they were showing that to me from the other side, it was like, let's harness this energy now and mold her and guide her. If that's what she's passionate about, don't hold back just because she's little. Encourage it.
Um, yeah, definitely. Wow. And
Because
no
I
one
think
else
she's,
knew that, actually.
pardon?
Like, no one else knew about the acting, how she wants to be an actor,
No,
like
but
with
they were
drama
just
and
showing it
everything.
to me from
Yeah.
the other side that she was a real natural. She wasn't just being a kiddo, dressing up and playing dress ups. She was really very talented. And the way they showed it to me was that she was like a very, very young Elizabeth Taylor. Like she had that same mystery about her in her eyes and her ability to bring it to the camera. And that's really good. Anyway, Rachel, unfortunately, sweetie, that's where we've got to leave it because I've got to go to my next caller, but I wish you very well. Okay, we're going to talk with Ida in Boyce, Louisiana. Are you there, Ida?
Yes, ma'am.
How can I help you today, sweetie? Do you have a question I can work with?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I just kind of would like to know where my relationship is going.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The first thing that they're showing me around the relationship, Ida, is 1 step forwards, 2 steps backwards. Is that how you sort of feel the relationship's been going this year, that you don't feel like you're really making any great progress with it?
Correct.
Yeah, look, darling, I'm not going to say that this isn't worth putting the effort in and being patient with. I do think it is. I think there's been a lot of other factors besides just the relationship that you've had to deal with. It's like there's been so many outside things that have come in and prevented you guys from sort of maybe being able to sort of really sit down and talk about things in the relationship that needed your attention because, hang on a minute, we've got to deal with this, or hang on a minute, we've got to deal with that, or we've had a family issue, or we've had a move, or we've had whatever. What they're showing me is 2022 will enable the relationship to settle into a sort of a groove, into a pattern where we're actually starting to sort of make it stronger again. It won't be sort of jumping all over the place like it has this year, 1 step forwards, 2 step backwards. Has there been some financial issues there that have really put the spanner in the works, so to speak, with the relationship? Has that been sort of causing some concern?
Kind of, sort of.
The
Not
reason
so
I
much as
asked
other
that
things.
The reason I asked that, because they were showing me as soon as you started to get everything sort of heading in the right direction with the relationship, it was like in would come something from the side, like all of a sudden not enough money coming in, or money that had to go out on an unexpected situation that you hadn't budgeted for. And that sort of then put strain on the relationship. And in turn, then that took away from you guys dealing with what you had to deal with because we had to put all our energy on that project. And they were showing me 2022 is going to be a lot easier in that way. So is it you or your partner that is looking to get a more stable, better paying job?
Well, we both were. She's disabled. But we were thinking about opening up a little business.
Okay. Oh, good, good. Yeah, well, there's no reason why you can't open something up that's within your capabilities for both of you. And that would certainly, hopefully bring in more money. And I'm saying hopefully because when you start up any new business, it's always a risk and there's always, outgoings there. But I do feel that you're on the right path. Would it be fair to say that your partner doesn't handle pressure and stress as well as you do?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
With your partner, does he find it difficult if something goes wrong to cope with that? Is he the one that sort of you've got to prop him up as well as yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, because what they were showing me was that you're the stronger one of the two in the relationship as far as holding everything together. You're the one that sort of almost has the final say on everything. You're the one that's got to do the research. You're the one that's, deals with things that go sideways, like you're the one that's able to sort of pull everything back on track. It's not that he hasn't got personal strength. It's just that he doesn't cope well with things that don't go according to plan, was what I was being shown.
Right.
Yeah. But that's also, I think, going to improve as you get into this little business that you're going to start up. And I think, whatever you start out with won't be where it sort of finishes. It's just like the starting off point, and, you'll add and subtract things as you go along. But the most important thing to me, besides the extra money that can be earned, was seeing how your partner was going to blossom through the course of this. It's like finally he's found what he should have been doing all along, and it really sort of bolsters his confidence in himself, and it helps a lot of things like, not being able to cope with stress and things like that as well as you do. Those sort of things are going to get stronger. It's like, it's like what they say, the more you do something, the better at it you get. Well, it's the same with this. It's sort of like giving him skills that he's never been able to sort of improve before in other areas of his life. And look, I'm not saying that you'll be able to sort of say, look, we're both completely 100% normal and we're not disabled or have a disability in any way. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is it's going to give you a different type of life with something more that makes you feel very proud of what the two of you are achieving, and plus some extra money coming in, Ida. And it's always nice to have that.
Right.
Anyway, sweetie, that's where we're going to leave it, because we've come to the end of the show. And the show goes very, very quickly. And for whatever you've been doing and wherever you are in the world, if you're like, we were talking to Rachel in Canberra here in Australia, been in lockdown, it's been tricky for most people. And for those of you that regularly watch the show, I'm a huge music fan. And in this last 7 days, I actually went back in time, and I got out and put on the turntable Hot August Night by Neil Diamond back from 1972. And didn't that bring back some beautiful memories? But what it showed me was that we can always have hope. No matter where we are in life, no matter what's going on, we can always improve our world by some music. So why don't you rifle through your record collection, or go back and look at your playlist, or maybe go back in time and find somebody that was a great inspiration for you. For me, I've been fortunate enough to see Neil Diamond in concert a couple of times, and he is just an amazing performer. And when you listen to the words of the songs, he is a prolific songwriter. There is no two ways about it. And just, when I went back and listened to that album over the last week, and some of the songs that he sang, and I thought, my goodness, nobody else could write a song about grass and get away with it. And the next song's about rain. And he just does it so beautifully. So until next week, find your favourite album. Let's play it, and let's have lots of music, lots of laughter, and lots of positivity in this amazing world of ours. Until next week, bye for now.